Six brand new flicks, six flicks to talk about this week in the theaters and for home streaming. Welcome. This is the Screening Room Podcast, and she is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And we're from MaddWolf.com. All right, we got six. Let's get into it.
First up in theaters, the young daughter of a journalist disappears into the desert without a trace. 8 years later, the broken family is shocked when she is returned to them, as what should be a joyful reunion turns into a living nightmare. It's Lee Cronin's The Mummy.
Yeah, Lee Cronin's. Even if you don't know who Lee Cronin is, this is probably a legal thing to separate it from the other Mummy franchises, because a lot of people have asked us already this week, is this the Brendan Fraser Mummy?
Because they are allegedly, they're going to do a sequel to that with the whole original cast.
This is not it.
No.
This has nothing to do with that.
No. And it's also not a retooling of the Universal Mummy, the Boris Karloff film.
Right.
And it, of course, thank God, has nothing to do with that awful Tom Cruise movie from a few years ago.
No, thank you.
No, this is a completely new property.
But Lee Cronin, if you don't know, has done some good stuff.
He has done some good stuff.
He did that Evil Dead Rise, which we enjoyed.
Yeah.
And then he did one you may not have seen called The Hole in the Ground,
which was really good. Good Irish changeling horror. I love Irish folk horror. And one of the things that if you look at those three movies, he has a real preoccupation with what do you do when a member of your family has been replaced by a monster? Because that's really basically the storyline for all three films, including this one. And I remember being not at all excited about this film when I saw the trailer for it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Same. Also, it looked, even though it's rated R, the trailer kind of made it look like a little high school PG-13 horror.
It really did. It just looked like jump scares and quick edits and black vomit and nothing unique or interesting. And that is not the case. Don't let the trailer keep you away from this movie. First of all, it's very much an R-rated film. It's just the language. There's a little girl in it who says what you really aren't supposed to say repeatedly. She says it repeatedly. So the language alone is an R-rated. But it is a bloody, gory descent into body horror, and also, and I think this is where Cronin gets a little bit, I don't know, in his own way. It's also a really sad story, and sometimes he has a hard time balancing the emotion of the film with the incredibly gross out, often darkly humorous body horror of the film.
Yeah.
Because it's a story, a little girl, and we get to know her for a bit first, Katie, before she is abducted. And that's almost too much to bear, that we get to know this little girl first, because you just love her to pieces.
Yeah, right away, when you're dealing with a story about an abducted girl that we get to know, right away, that is traumatic.
Yeah, it really is. And then, she goes missing, and we know what has happened to her, but the parents, of course, are completely distraught. The parents are played by Jack Rayner, who's always good, and he's got those big giant eyes, so he expresses sadness well.
I remember him from Hereditary.
Right, of course. Yeah, and the bear suit. And Leia Costa plays his wife. So 8 years after the abduction, the U.S. Embassy in Egypt calls to say that they have found her. But
they were in Cairo.
They were in Cairo. Yeah. She's been through a lot, and it will take quite a while for her to adjust back into family life. And of course, if you've seen the trailer at all, you know that she's gone through more than just a lot. And of course, she's the mummy, right? And so the rest of the movie is she is at home, and it's a really cool location. It's they live with their maternal grandmother in this very cool house full of stuff, full of crawl spaces. It's a very cool place for horror, and they get sort of trapped in Albuquerque, New Mexico, with their daughter, who is really no longer their daughter. And there's a scene where they have access to, because there's also a bit of a police procedural where this detective back in Egypt is still trying to figure out what happened. She's still investigating the case, and she comes across the cause of the problem, and she flies with a VHS tape back to the States, to Albuquerque, to show it. And that, I'm going to tell you, is a really hard scene to watch. It's a really hard scene to watch. And he really wisely, Cronin, cuts away a lot of times. So you're not watching the VHS tape. you're hearing it, and you're watching her parents. It is a gut-wrenching scene. And it feels so odd because we've just been through the almost early Peter Jackson level of gross out, fairly comical body horror at a funeral. The Wake, sure, it's not called a wake because they're Spanish or they're Mexican, but my people call it a wake, whatever it's called. It's at their house. It's like a viewing. And so there's a big spread of food. There's just a lot of opportunity for incredible nastiness. And Cronin goes there. And if you saw Evil Dead Rise, you know that he does know how to make a wickedly comedic body horror with a lot of fluids. And that's a lot of what you see here. It just doesn't seem to fit then with this incredibly emotional moment that comes a little bit after. Aside from that he doesn't always manage the tones very well. Each individual part of this film is done pretty well. I mean, I found it all very entertaining. It's very distressing at times. It's just gross out at times. There are some scenes with coyotes that are tense and also gross. I mean, he goes places that you may not want to follow in this movie, but it's always entertaining.
Yeah. And when you juggle tones like that, that can be problematic. And I think what you were saying, that he doesn't always pull it off, the abrupt whiplash tones, because that's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard to do, especially like you mentioned, when you have a kid, a child in peril like that.
Yeah.
So gut-wrenching with the tape and everything. And then all of a sudden there's some early Peter Jackson type gross out or that
with some deviled eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unusual.
Yeah.
But somehow manages to keep together to be entertaining.
Yeah.
And, for us, I think pleasantly surprised because we went in with
kind of low expectations because of the trailer, although we should have known because we are fans of his other two feature films.
Yep. That is true. So just know it's not part of any franchise that you've known before. And
don't expect any swashbuckling. Don't expect any romance.
No, nothing like that. But it earns that R rating.
It does.
We were talking last night. You wouldn't call it, if somebody just asked you, since it is a horror movie, well, is it scary? It depends, of course, what you find scary. But as far as jump scares or things like that, it's not really that type of film.
No, it's unnerving. It's unsettling. And of course, there are times where, body horror is rarely scary. I don't think that's really it's just like nasty. And this is nasty.
Yeah.
It's entertaining. But I don't know if any part of it scared me.
Yeah, probably not. But, everybody has their different levels.
Yeah.
But it's not one where you can expect a bunch of red herrings or, fake out jump scares.
No.
Things like that. But surprisingly entertained by it.
Yeah.
And that is in theaters now. And it is Lee Cronin's The Mummy.
Also in theaters, an action crime thriller. It centers on a temporary small-town sheriff who uncovers dark mysteries after a local bank robbery. Normal.
I like that tagline. Give this guy more guns. I love that. I also love how Bob Odenkirk has just shifted into action star, because before nobody would have reacted to that.
No.
Who can we make? Who's going to be an unlikely action star?
Yeah.
Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah, Odenkirk.
Yeah, because you had Nobody and Nobody 2, right? And now he's hooked up with the people that have made and written.
Well, Nobody. It's the same writer.
Yeah, and then the John Wick franchise too.
He wrote the whole John Wick franchise. Derek Kolstad also wrote Ballerina, which of course is from the John Wick. I mean, he does. He's got a style.
Exactly. So just knowing that, you can probably guess what's coming. A lot of gunplay. And a lot of one man standing his ground.
Yeah.
And this one is directed by Ben Wheatley, who we've liked going way, way back. And if you've seen a movie he did a few years ago called Free Fire, which was pretty much just one location, shoot 'em ups, this will remind you of Free Fire at times. Because, Bob Odenkirk plays this. It's an interesting job. He plays this temporary sheriff.
Yeah.
It's almost like a substitute teacher.
Right.
Where he comes in. The town has lost their previous sheriff. And so he is coming in. Bob is coming in for 2 months.
Yeah.
And he's going to be
until they can elect the next
replacement sheriff. Right. And he sort of fills us in by these messages that he leaves to his estranged wife on the phone.
Yeah, Penny. She never answers.
We kind of hear what he's thinking and what he's going through. So that's a bit of organic way to get the the voiceover there. We also then find out a bit about him because he's going through an estranged, marriage that he probably would like to get back together. But, all that stuff adds some character development. And then we meet the mayor of the town, Henry Winkler. And that's fun. And Henry wants him to think about staying because, we're all about community here in Normal.
And he seems like he's a hands-off kind of guy.
Yeah.
And that apparently is what the mayor is
They like
after.
that. And you look around and he looks around and people in this little town in Minnesota, they're strangely well off.
Yeah.
People are prosperous. And things are interesting. Let's put it that way. And then a couple of hapless bank robbers decide to rob the bank, and then some secrets get revealed. And Bob finds out, well, there's a reason why everybody's prosperous, and there's a reason why they really want to protect what's in that vault.
That's right.
They really, really do. And pretty soon, he and the bank robbers are targets.
Right. Which is, I don't think that's really a spoiler. It is in the trailer where the bank robber goes, "Why are they shooting at you?" It's like, beats me.
Right.
And it's clever. It's fun. It's mindless. It's not something, although, if you have to go back, what exactly was the plot of Nobody or Nobody 2? I mean, it's whatever. They're excuses to see these really well staged, often comically staged action sequences. And that man, Ben Wheatley, he's got such a personality with his. They're clever, they're funny. They're timed like gags, like, each big action sequence has a punchline, like a visual punchline. He just seems to be having the best time. And as you say, Free Fire was so much fun to watch. And a lot of Ben Wheatley's films. One of the weird things about Ben Wheatley is that you almost get whiplash one film to the next. I mean, it's not that he doesn't have a style as much as it seems like he tries a little bit of everything. Kill List is still my favorite, although he's done a lot, and this is a fun return to the action genre for him because it's just he seems to be having a ball.
Yeah, and also because it's set in this little town of Minnesota, you get this collection of eclectic characters, small town characters, and the ensemble does a good job of fleshing them out in little parts, like just weird small town folk that you might see and might find, and deputy sheriff this guy, and they all know each other. It could be such a small, close-knit town. And then Lena Headey shows up. She's an interesting character. We're going to talk more about her in another film later.
Yeah, she's got 2 movies out this week.
Yeah. And then you think, are there sparks here between the two of them? Maybe we'll see what's going on. But there's a lot of gunplay and some carnage.
Yeah, there is some carnage.
Definite carnage, some surprising carnage. But yeah, it's mindless fun if you like the action. It's not one that you're going to go off and have to really have a deep philosophical think piece about afterwards. No. But will you enjoy it while you're watching it? I think so. Yeah. Especially if you've enjoyed his type of films and the John Wick Nobody type of film.
Right. Because I think Odenkirk just has a sort of curmudgeonly, wry. I mean, he's such a veteran of comedy and of drama that his timing couldn't be better. His sort of droll delivery is pretty perfect. And he's just, I don't know why he is so fun to watch shooting people, but he's really fun to watch.
And in this case, we identify with him right away because he's a fish out of water. Yep. So are we. Yep. We don't know about these people.
Nope.
And he's just trying to get along, and he doesn't want to give parking tickets out right away. He just wants to say, you know what, park better.
Yeah,
I'm just
here.
I'm just here for 2 months.
I'm just the substitute.
Yeah, let's just be nice for 2 months, and then I'm out of here. And
nothing to see here.
Pull him back in. Pull him into the violence. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun. And that is Normal. And that's in theaters now.
A new comedy on Netflix when a hopeful, naive college freshman, Devin, asks the cool and confident Celeste to be her roommate. A blossoming friendship spirals into a war of passive aggression. It's Roommates.
Ah, yes. Who cannot relate to having a roommate, especially a college roommate that maybe you just don't get along with that much? This is it's the latest from the Happy Madison production. So that's Adam Sandler's production company, but he's not in it. The lead is his daughter, Sadie Sandler, who we've seen in a lot of his other movies. And she plays Devin, and she is a high school senior worried because she didn't really make that many friends in high school. And now she's going off to this small college, and she's worried about making friends. And oh, what luck. She gets this roommate, Celeste, who's played by Chloe East. and they seem to be hitting it off. Wow, I found my best friend first day of college, and we're roommates, and things are great for a little while, and then they're not. And the new roommate, Celeste, starts doing some annoying things.
She's got boundary
issues. Yeah. And then maybe some of the things that she's said about her past don't quite add up at all. And the thing that makes this difficult to latch onto right away is because it's one of those it's a story being told to us, because you've got these other pair of roommates who don't like each other and want to get separate rooms. They are telling their story and they're pitching their case for new roommates to their dean of student life, played by Sarah Sherman, who I think is always fun to watch.
She is.
And so she's sitting down this other pair of roommates and telling them the story about these other roommates that I knew at school once. And that's the story of Devin and Celeste. So that device of storytelling, to me, can kind of keep it at arm's length.
Yeah.
When things get rolling and then it pull away and go back to the person telling the story, it can work like any other device. It can work. It has worked. But that is one of the problems with this movie, to get it really up and running and to get it engaging, because I think the last third of this really turned me around on this, because I thought it was totally really forgettable and generic up until that point. You've got the college life and all that. Okay, they're partying and you learn about new things and all that, new friends, and then you're backstabbing with the roommate, and you think you've been wrong, so maybe you want to get her back. But then it goes some places in the third act that I admit I did not see coming, and I liked it that way. It goes a little dark, and I think it is much better for it. Once we sort of get into the present day of how this all worked itself out, I thought it became worthwhile. I mean, it's Netflix. Again, we say it all the time. You got Netflix,
it's
put it on there. There's certainly worse that has been made for Netflix. And as far as Sadie Sandler goes, I mean, she's getting there. She's not up to the. We've seen Chloe East in other films, and so she's much more of a natural actress right now. I think Sadie Sandler seems a little self-conscious still about the camera. That feeds into her character too, so that does help this time, because her character is sort of like that. But surrounded by other pros. And even people like Carol Kane, who shows up as her grandma. Nice to see Carol Kane.
That's right. Natasha Lyonne is in this
exactly.
as her mom.
Yeah, and her dad is Nick Kroll. And they're funny.
Too much tuna.
And I did like that the movie gets in a wink about being a Nepo baby. Because throw it out there. I mean, hey, it's my dad and it's his production company and my dad's name Sandler.
What am I going to say? No.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh no, I don't deserve to have a movie.
So they get a wink about that, which is good. And then you get a surprise little cameo at the end by somebody who's ties into what is Celeste's real backstory, which is fun. And then when everything comes together. So in the end, it's kind of a guilty pleasure. If you can get through the first two acts, which are kind of a slog, it will probably be a lot more relatable to that age group of the 20-somethings or something like that. The college age kids might enjoy the first two acts a little bit more. This was done by a group of Saturday Night Live vets. I don't think they have a lot, if any, feature films in their history. But and so you see some other familiar Saturday Night Live faces, not just
Janine Garofalo. Always love to see her.
And some others pop in there. So, and there's some funny things. There are some laughs in the first couple of acts, but I think the third act saves it, as we always say. When you go somewhere
that we don't expect,
and so the first two acts don't set you up for what is coming in the third. And I appreciated that. So decent on Netflix, and that's called Roommates.
And a new comedy on Amazon Prime. Two marketers pitch a bold new condom World Cup sponsorship. After a booze-fueled scandal, they must outrun chaos to survive. It's Balls Up.
I almost choked at reading the word comedy in that synopsis, because usually in a comedy you like to laugh.
You try to say something funny.
This is bad. This is really bad. As I said in my written review, this really seems like something that the writers thought was hilarious when they were high. And then you'd think maybe when you came to the next day, think, nah, that's really not a project we want to go to. But they did.
And the writers are Paul Wernick and Rhett Reese, who wrote Zombieland and 2 of the Deadpool movies.
Yes, that have been hilarious stuff, great stuff. So that's why I'm saying this project, just where did this come from? And it's directed by Peter Farrelly, who has done some good below the belt comedies, Kingpin, There's Something About Mary and Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
I mean, those are some classics in below the belt comedy.
Yeah.
But this one centers on Brad from Sales, Mark Wahlberg, and Elijah from Design, and they both work at the Regal, I think it's called Regal Blue Condom Company.
And it's Paul Walter Hauser.
Paul Walter Hauser is Elijah from Design. And they got a big pitch coming up because it's the World Cup, the 2025 World Cup in Brazil. And we're told that more condoms are bought and used during the World Cup than anything else. So they need to be the official condom of the World Cup. And they've got Elijah's brilliant design to have a condom that goes all the way up and covers the testicles. That's his big innovation. But he's not a salesman, so Brad seals the deal with the head of the World Cup committee, played by Benjamin Bratt, who's actually trying to do some acting in this movie, which makes him stand.
God bless him.
And so he loves the idea. He loves the idea. So you guys, you're the official condom. This Balls Up, it's called, of the World Cup. And then he says, you two, you're my boys. We're going to bring you over, VIP treatment to the games, the whole bit. So when they're over there and celebrating too much, things go way wrong, way fast. And the next thing you know, the 2 Americans are dubbed the Stupids by the locals, which fits. And they are just wanted men, wanted villains. And they might end up dead if the Brazilians get their hands on them. They ended up being kidnapped by this drug cartel lord, played by Sacha Baron Cohen. And it's antic after antic after antic. Very, very few of those antics are funny. One of the problems is Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. He's not a comedy. He can't lead a comedy.
I think people get mistaken about that because he was in so many comedies with Will Ferrell, who can.
If you take a guy like Mark Wahlberg who struggles with comic delivery and timing, you got to put him with somebody like Will Ferrell who doesn't. Will Ferrell is a comic force of nature. He walks into the room, it's funny.
Paul Walter Hauser is a very talented actor.
Very.
But he's not Will Ferrell.
He's not strong enough of a comic presence. And really, he's sort of second fiddle. I mean, but they're at the very worst, they're equal footing here. And it's just the chemistry is not there. I agree. Paul Walter Hauser, great. And Mark Wahlberg has been very good in some movies. He has. Go watch The Departed.
Watch Boogie Nights.
Boogie Nights. But in
those two.
But in the comedies, I like the other guys. We've had this fight before.
Yeah, I don't care.
But in the comedies, he needs somebody stronger. He needs somebody like the Will Ferrell. And it's not here, and there's no chemistry, and it's just not funny, and it's dumb. It gets worse as it goes along, as opposed to Roommates. It gets better as it goes along. This one just gets worse. It's an hour and 40 minutes, and by the end of it, you're just, why am I still watching this? Because it's on Amazon Prime, and either I got it free or I paid $3 or however much it is.
I think it's free. I think it comes with it.
Yeah, well, it should be.
Yeah.
Because
nobody should be paying for that.
I chuckled at a karaoke version.
Pay for it in your own way.
Wahlberg and Hauser do a karaoke version of Gautier, someone that I used to know. It's kind of funny, but there's not enough to make up for the rest of it that isn't. So this one is pretty bad. Pretty bad. Balls up, thumbs down.
And a new thriller this week. A mother who works for an ammunition manufacturing company finds out she made the bullet that killed her son. It's Ballistic.
Lena Headey. We said she'd be back.
Yeah.
And here she is, this time leading the movie, not just a supporting player.
Yep. Rachel Willis reviewed this one for us at MaddWolf.com. And she does. Lena Headey cuts an impressive figure.
She does.
She draws your attention. You immediately think, badass. This person is a badass. And in this film, she works in a munitions company, and her son has been killed in Afghanistan. And she now blames everybody involved in munitions creation with the death of her son. And the movie is telling a kind of a broader story about how, the arms, all arms manufacturing leads to death. All of it leads to death. And that's really what this is telling you. And Lena Headey does a great job, but the characterization is just not there. There's no depth that we don't understand her. We don't know her. And we don't get to know the son at all. And so her rage and her grief never feel very realistic. Rachel was just pretty disappointed in the movie.
Yeah. Although agreed that a strong performance from Lita Headey, like you mentioned, is always cutting a strong presence. No matter what the film is. And here just can't bring the material all the way home. But it's an interesting premise.
It is.
I mean, the premise hooked me right away. But this one is also on Prime Video. And you can check out Rachel's full review at MaddWolf.com. That's up there now.
Also streaming this week, a gay coming-of-age comedy that follows Julia and his best friend Carrie and their outcast friends through high school in the early 90s. Their dream of having their own show on the high school radio station is finally realized, bringing them a popularity and infamy they never imagined. Screams from the Tower.
This is also on Prime.
It is.
On Prime Video. And this was reviewed for us by Brandon Thomas. And it's sort of funny because once he got into it, he thought, well, this is probably one that I should be reviewing because I started in radio when I was in high school.
Right.
I wasn't, my high school did not have a radio station, but I was on the radio station in my small town. So it's interesting to me. But I think Brandon also found it just overall interesting.
Yeah, it's got the feeling of a John Hughes or even an Apatow, just a relatable, fun, interesting coming of age story inside a high school. And this time in the 90s, dealing with these two kids who want to be on the radio. And then once they are on the radio, it does really change things in ways they hadn't expected. And he, it's not a classic, but he just really was charmed by it and thought it was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, and eventually he said you start out, you think it's just going to be a 50-50 thing, but it really starts leaning on the Julian character, who is played by, can we see, Richie Fusco. Yeah, who becomes sort of the lead in this. And also set in the 90s, not only did you get that nostalgia, but then you don't have to worry about the smartphones, which is nice as well.
I don't, radio. I don't think they're doing radio in high schools anymore.
Probably not. They're probably doing podcasts. But so there's a lot of reasons.
There's a lot of
reasons to set it in the 90s. Screams
from the music was better.
Screams from the Tower. You can check out Brandon Thomas's review for us at MaddWolf.com. So 6. The number's a little down. Down this week. Let's see what we do next week. Well, a few more. The big one, a couple of big ones next week. Michael. A lot of people are excited about that. We shall see.
Also, Mother Mary. I know we're excited about that.
We are excited. That was supposed to be this week.
And it got this week and it got bumped.
Yeah, but I've seen the trailer now a few times, and I'm intrigued by that one. One called Apex.
Also excited about that one. That's Charlize Theron and Taron Egerton. Yeah. I got money on Charlize.
One we just saw the other day, over Your Dead Body, that we get to talk about. That was fun. Looking forward to talk about that.
Also, Fuse.
Itch.
Yeah, Itch. I'm not so much looking forward just because I how one of those where you watch the trailer and you're already
I haven't seen the trailer.
Yeah, it's gonna make you do that. Also, Orangutan.
And I Swear.
That's right.
Will be out next week as well. So a couple more to talk about. But in the meantime, what do you think? What do you think this week about The Mummy? Lee Cronin's The Mummy.
That's right.
Don't show up and go, where's Brendan Fraser at? Or Nobody, or Roommates. Not Nobody, Normal. See, it's easy to get them mixed up.
It is.
One word starts with N. It's Normal. But let us know. Keep the conversation going. That's easy to do. You can find us at MaddWolf.com is the main website. MaddWolf Columbus on all the socials. Of course, right here on the YouTube channel. And our other podcasts, if you just like the horror stuff, as we do, come find us. Fright Club is our other horror movie only podcast.
That's right.
You can find that on YouTube and on your favorite podcast app, and a special Fright Club podcast Facebook group, too, if you want to join the fun. We talk about horror movies and other shenanigans in there. So lots of ways to get in touch. Hope you will. Have a great week. And until next time, she is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And this is the Screening Room Podcast.
See ya.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.